and I'm gonna send him the link through. Hey, everyone! Welcome to the Really Charlie podcast. Today's guest, numerous guests, but we're gonna start off with my man Russell Ramus. Got a few things we're gonna talk about as we wait for our other guests to come on. Some of the
Yeah,
things we're
good
gonna
evening.
talk about is Coach John Gruden. Used to be coach John Gruden of the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, and he's got himself in trouble with some emails, and his legacy is now gone to the toilet pretty much. So, but we're going to talk about those issues and some other things, just talk and rap as good friends do. But, so what's going on, Mr. Ramus? How you doing, man?
Well, first of all, I want to tell you because I know you went to the Jabril event today, and unfortunately, I couldn't be there. I know Jabril, and last time I saw him, it was at the art museum when he was there for Ruth Carter presentation, and I just wish him all the best. We just go so far back, and I remember everything he's done for the community. So, with all love and all respect, I'm sure everyone must have had such a good time. There's just some health reasons that I just couldn't be out there, but he understands that, and I'm sure you could tell me that it was a nice presentation. I'll probably be able to watch it on cable television, so I know I was definitely missing a really good event. But I'll get to
Yes,
see his street name. Will be nice to be able to see his name on the street.
yeah, it was a good event, and for you all out there, listeners and viewers that are out there, Dr. Jabril Kazan was Ezel Blair Jr. He was one of four men that actually were part of the Greensboro Four with the sit-ins, and so he's definitely he's a very iconic person in American history, and we were able to dedicate and rename a park in the city of New Bedford, Massachusetts, after Dr. Jabril Ghassan. And so that was something I did earlier today, and I was very fortunate to be there and actually read something that I wrote about Jabril, and it just was a good event, and I really got to commend the people involved that were able to approve and get this thing going. But it should never stop with Jabril, because he's the one man that I know in my whole life that did one thing or many things that touched every continent in this world and on this earth. He was able to you know do something for the sake of humanity, him and his friends, which led to many other people doing it. And but they were the start, and he's here in New Bedford, one of our finest residents here in the city. Hey, Derek, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can
Is
hear
that
you.
Derek? How you
What's
doing?
up, boss? Yeah, that was a surprise to see that on Facebook about Jabril today. That was great.
Yeah, he's it was a long time coming, and I'm glad that city folks got it together, and were able to start with this dedication and renaming the
I think
park
I
in
got
his name.
Frank on the other line. Hold on.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yes, Frank.
They
Yeah,
have
man,
done
I see you guys. It
a
says
lot of stuff.
you're in the show.
Hold on, Derek,
Um,
1 second.
Anyone can see you, hear you. What, you're supposed to invite me or something.
Okay, hold on 1 second. So Charlie, Frank can see us. He's just looking for his invite to come in.
I already did it. That's how he's in it. So he has
He's
to
Get his
he's
camera on.
yeah, he got to
getting
put his camera on. That's all.
Frank. You have to enable your camera. Yeah, you have to enable your camera. Your camera's not on. You got to go into your settings and get that going. Okay.
All right.
Yep.
So we're gonna keep on. Frank will get it done.
Well, they
Okay.
have done a lot of stuff for Jabril North Carolina A&T. They
Okay.
brought them guys back yearly and dedicated stuff. They have statues of them. So they've done a lot. They made a museum out of the Woolworths counter and all that.
It's amazing how many things have actually been implemented throughout, the country, and and it's real, folks in different communities that have really thought of it as being an essential part of our history, and I'm pretty sure we do here in this city, but
Very,
it's
very
just
much so.
too slow,
Frank,
man.
hold on one
I
second.
think that that a lot of things that could be done, as far as maybe a statue, different things. Hold on, I'm gonna mute Russell for a second here.
Yeah.
You all said, Russell?
Well,
If
Frank is
you
just
have to,
getting.
if you have to deal with them, then I'm gonna mute you, and then I'm gonna just have a conversation with Derek, so we can keep it.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that because we're working on our end to get him on.
I'll mute
Okay.
you, and then you just wait
Yes,
for me, and
please.
then all right.
Okay.
Well, let me show you something first. Frank and I, when I was in Vegas, went for a visit. I don't know if you can see that too well.
Oh, now I see it now.
Yeah, we were
That's
in the MMA fighting gym in the ring.
that's
That's
nice.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank took me around. We went to Mayweather's gym. Frank knew everybody, the terrain, got me a T-shirt, and it was really good. That was in
Wow.
2019 when I went out there.
It's amazing that things he's doing, and I'm gonna make sure that every few years I go to Vegas, and one of the things I'm gonna end up doing is to make sure that I am in that city. I'm gonna go see Frank and
Sure, you
and
got
spend
to.
the
Yeah.
day with him, and
Yeah,
so
it was a fun time.
yeah.
We spent a few
Michael,
days together.
yeah, good. Michael Joe Santos says I got some great photos of the dedication, sending them to Eric as soon as they upload. Thank you, Michael. Michael's a great historian just by the pictures that he takes. Never
Right.
mind the other countless things that he does behind the scenes. But Michael, thank you. The
That's awesome.
yeah, and Derek, I want to give you some flowers, man. There's definitely some great things that you're doing. With the acting and actually being an activist, through social media, and you're doing some great things. The
Thank
one
you.
thing, the, with guys like you that were ahead of me, and you kind of laid the footsteps, to follow. We can follow people whether it's on a good, bad, or ugly path. But I want to
Right.
tell you that your path was definitely a path that many should have followed, and I definitely was very impressed with your service, and the acting and everything that you do. And I just want to, we haven't seen each other a long time, other than the social media stuff.
Right.
I just want to say that keep up the good work, because our hometown needs this. We need to know that you don't have to stay within the 13 miles of the city. You can move
That's
forward,
correct.
in other
Right.
directions. You can come back if you want. I came back. I left for 5 years, came back. So
Well, and what you're saying about people before me, and like I'm before you, it was people like your father who before me had set the trail for a lot of us as well, and his compadres. We were came up in a difficult time, and
mhm.
there was protests all over the country, sort of like today, but not as widespread as today has been, which we've had people around the world joining in to protest some of the injustices here in the U.S. But yeah, your dad was inspiration to many of us as young guys. They were leaders, him and his circle of folks,
No.
and they've done a lot to help bring us forward. And some of
Okay,
that
now
inspired
underneath
me.
it, is there something that says settings underneath?
Hold on one second. I'm sorry, Derek.
Yeah, that's no one. So yeah, and in New Bedford, I mean, we don't think of New Bedford in the circles that we grow up as being a racist place, but I encountered a lot of it. And one of the things that when I really touched upon it was when I took over Mr. Jack Custodio's radio show. I was the first person that he entrusted to take over his show for, and I did it for 3 weeks. But
Hmm.
I was looking to get paid in radio. I didn't want to do volunteer work, and I basically exposed the injustices and that was going on there, where none of the radio stations or TV stations, in fact, maybe TV stations may have had one or two minorities on payroll, but
Hmm.
none of the radio stations did. And I actually decided I was going to go into radio when I was a freshman at Roger Williams College.
Okay.
And I wanted to, I wasn't studying anything that I wanted there. It was kind of tough. I didn't have a car. I was hitchhiking back and forth home and stuff like that. And, luckily, one of the brothers from the Gomes brother from Wareham and stuff give me a ride sometimes. So,
Hmm.
that was pretty cool. But it was tough. So I decided that I was going to go back home for a year. I'll work. I'll buy a car and go back to college. And I chose the hospital to work at, and everything fell through. So I did that, and I went back to school at Dean, and that's where I studied radio. I decided that's what I wanted to do.
Wow.
But music was also a big part of my life as well.
Yeah, that's the thing that Russell and I are doing, and I can't wait to unmute him so we can talk. And the uh, the thing Russell and I are doing on WNB1 radio is a good opportunity, especially for the our generation, just to play some music, play more of the music that we grew up on, and just play that chill type music. And I'm glad. I mean, he's always been someone that I looked up to as far as the radio, and listened to him along with yourself. And there was Carl Paez, there was Brian Magnet, that I looked up and I said, man, that's a good job, that's a good thing to do. I would like to
Yeah.
do that eventually. And here probably
Well,
20 plus years, I'm finally doing it.
That's good. One of my inspirations, though, is a lot of people don't really know, the younger generation, is the older folks would listen, and I listened as a kid. I always listened to radio, and WNBH had China Vels on the air doing a jazz show.
Hmm.
China Vels is Randy Vels' uncle, DeAndre's uncle, Lisa DeAndre and those folks. And he was on radio for quite a few years in New Bedford, and he did jazz, and he was an inspiration to me. And he
Wow.
ended up leaving, and I guess he went down to Florida, I guess, and worked down there for a number of years. And I think he passed away a few short years ago. But he was
Wow.
a great inspiration for me to get into radio.
I remember my father-in-law mentioning him, because Bob Bassett was my father-in-law's friend. They're
Right.
close friends, and stuff. Some of the things that they've done, and so that's one of the names that I remember him talking about over the years.
Sure. Yep.
So
It's great show. It's awesome.
Derek, you used to do those late night shows. I remember when you were on County Street and they had a glass window, and that
hello,
Frank, no,
that's all right, Russell. Go ahead.
it's
I muted him.
so.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I remember there was a glass on the side of that building, and people could see you. I mean, you could go by and you could see that someone was DJing in there. Um, how you tell me this? There was a situation one night that was kind of scary for you because you were on the air and you were telling me what happened.
Yeah, it was Nicole Johnson and one of her friends. I'm doing a show, and the window is actually in the back of the studio, and the window was open because we didn't really. I don't know if you even remember if we had air conditioning in there, but I'm doing the show, and then I heard this voice behind me, and I'm like startled. I'm like, what? And it was Nicole, and she was like sneaking out, listening to me and stuff, and then her and her friend, and then I invited them in, and they got to be the Starship Kids, her and my cousin Maria Elena, and they would help me out in the studio. They would answer the phone because I didn't have time to answer the phone. The phone kept ringing. It never stopped ringing. So I couldn't answer the phone. Plus, I had to keep the FM station going in the other room, which was a big computerized programmer that had big reel-to-reels, and I had to go in and change them to keep that rolling. So it was busy, but people would come and, bring me food. Even Eddie Stack came one day. He was a good friend of my mother's. Eddie Stack, great saxophone player, and he came just to tell me he was so proud of me, and that was amazing for someone just to show up and say something like that to me. So I had a lot of people that helped to inspire me and help keep me going. I did it for 2 years, and at one time, for most of that time, I programmed the whole 12 hours from 6 Saturday night to 6 Sunday morning.
Wow.
And so I was able to fill in a lot of music. I would start out with some R&B and some disco, but I would play the songs that were the B-sides or other songs, not the main hits that everybody would hear every day. And then I would get into, a little bit more serious music at night, music for lovers and jazz late night, in the wee hours, and end up in the morning with gospel. And once in a while, I throw in some rock with some Hendrix and classical. I just try to give everybody a little taste of everything to show that you don't have to be inhibited and hemmed into one type of music. There's so much beautiful music out there, and a lot of it is good. I mean, and it doesn't matter what kind it is.
And there was that was an AM signal, right? You were off an AM signal at NBH. So what maybe a lot of people know is that signal is going straight. And so AM signals, like I used to listen to stations all the way to New York that were on an AM,
Exactly.
my
Rochester,
AM,
New York.
my little battery. I used to listen to a little battery radio, and I could get signals way out in New York. So a lot of people were listening to you because of that signal. FM signal goes up and then it comes down, but the AM just goes straight like a train. So you were getting a lot of connections.
At night, we used to go to lower power because in the daytime they would run at a higher wattage, and then at night that was one of my jobs, and that I had to get certified. I have a third-class engineer's license to operate a radio station. So nowadays, when Reagan got in there and really pretty much started the destruction of the FCC. You had to get licensed, and with that came special duties that you had to do to keep the radio station running. So the AM we powered down, but the waves would skip. They'd skip across the band because there's other radio stations in that same band around the country. So sometimes they'd be picked up. And I used to listen to radio at night, and when I was a kid in school, and still in school, and I'd pick up stations from Ohio and all over the place. I mean, it was amazing.
Now, you always had to do, technically, you had to calibrate. You had to do the calibration every time you went into the station. Do you remember that? They were always emphasizing at USM years ago that you had to calibrate. Don't forget to calibrate. And you had to mark it in the book. And we were also required to get a little license. I used to carry. I had a little yellow card that said
that's what had changed. Yes, that's what they went to when Ronald Reagan had started deregulating the FCC. Now, in order for me to get in radio, it wasn't that easy. When I came home, I was trying. I went to all the stations, and no one was hiring me. And then Jack Custodio turned his show over to me, and I did that for 3 weeks, and then I just let loose and talked about all the wrongs that were going on and how they were using people for their licensing and not paying any minority people to be on the radio. That was WBSM. So I never got to really sit down with Jack and talk about that, but he was kind of shocked. He said, what did you do? So he wanted to get out, but I wanted to get in making money. It wasn't about me just, doing it for fun and stuff. I went to school, I invested my time and energy. And when I was at Dean in Franklin, Mass, we had two great guys that taught my classes for broadcast media. And they were brothers they were white dudes, but they were brothers that ran a
Yep.
radio station in Cranston, Rhode Island. And they discussed the FCC rules, regulations, and when all that stuff hit me and how things were in New Bedford, I realized that we were being wrong. So when I tried to get a job, I couldn't. So what I did, I wrote up a complaint, and they were having a commission meeting with the commissioner of mass discrimination from the state, the commissioner of Massachusetts Department of Discrimination. So I went to the meeting and I spoke to him, and he came over to me after the meeting and he said, give me your complaint. I have a friend in Washington and I'm going to get with him on this. Now, at the time, I didn't know Benjamin Hooks was the head of the FCC. If you know who Benjamin Hooks is, he
Yes.
is one of the great civil rights leaders. He's a upstanding man. And when that complaint hit the airwaves, hit DC and hit back in New Bedford, the radio stations were scrambling to hire minorities. WBSM even hired a person that did the news. WNBH was trying to hire people. I had already given up.
Yep.
WNBH had given another show. They wanted to start another talk show doing the same thing. Keith Francis, rest his soul, my great friend and roommate at the time, him, his uncle, Donald Gomes, and a couple other people were rotating, hosting this new show on WNBH. And Keith had me on as his first guest, and I started talking about the discrimination in radio. And then they called me. They told Keith to have me go and talk to them at WNBH. Wow. And although I was looking for a full-time job, they hired me part-time, and then they hired I'm having trouble thinking of his name. He was from out of town, but he was a student at he was a student at UMass Dartmouth, which was SMU at the time, and they hired him full-time. So, as a student to work full-time at night, overnight, that wasn't going to work out too well.
Yeah.
But they hired me part-time, which, that was just another way to try to weed him out and just say they did it. But, that was wrong. That was a wrong thing to do.
Sure was, because what his path was, or his dream was definitely to do that maybe and go a little further. But, when you do things like that, you stop someone, you kind of might want to they might discourage you, and then you never go back to that because of that bad taste in your mouth, And, or he could have got too angry and just said, hey, I'm going to be too angry. I don't want to do this. I don't want to end up, hurting my reputation, my character. So I'm just going to step back and not do anything.
I want to share this story with you because something you probably don't know. They actually hired me part-time at NBH, and I was doing a 12 to 7 shift. And I would go in and I change those reels, and I was playing. They had me playing 80s music, and I had a really nice little audience, and I was having a good time with it. And I said, this is. All I did was think about you sitting in that room over there, because I was sitting right in that little glass studio, and one day somebody, I went in during the day, and someone said to me, Did you leave your show last night? And I said, I don't understand. What do you mean? Did I leave my show? And I said, no, I didn't leave my show. I would never leave the show. But they sort of brought up this funny thing that, you may have left your show. And I said, who in the world would just walk away from a radio show? And then I said, where did you think I went? So there was this young woman from Boston. She was doing the cat. She was doing the country show, and they asked me, did you two leave and go somewhere? Which I thought was really rude, man, because I said, why would you, she was a young sister and she was doing the country music. And they said, well, maybe those two got together and walked off the show and went somewhere, which I thought was the silliest thing. So these are the kind of things that, they would bring up. Or you had WBSM on Union Street, and we're right down the street from there, Charlie. I had an internship there, and the guy Aberray, who was there at the time, I went there to do news, and he kind of got upset because I was staying from 12 to 12 at night practicing my news story. I still have these news stories today. And he told my professor it wasn't working out. I wasn't doing a good, it didn't work. So I met with my professor and poured out all my news stories in front of him. And he said, "You got an A." He goes, I know he was telling a story. I know you would work real hard at it. He goes, "It's a bunch of baloney." So, this is like what Charlie was talking about. I didn't get discouraged about it, but I just kind of laughed at it. I said, this is the foolishness that we got to deal with. All these years, you see, you deal with this foolishness that's going on, but you just inspired us. And I just wanted to go to something else. And it was an idea that, because Charlie and I were working the other day on some promos, and you had the most amazing promo, which was the Sun Kiss show. And you had that Sun Kiss, right?
Yes,
Everybody loved to hear that. Between the songs, you would just always Sun Kiss show. So remember that? The big kiss, man. Everybody. So tell me that story. This is what I'm leading up to. Tell me the story about where that went.
Yeah,
everybody's going to remember this.
Interview at that radio station in was it Brookline, or I think it was, or somewhere outside of Boston, Brighton.
Brookline.
And Sonny Joe White was the manager at the time, program manager, and I met with him.
Good guy, by the way, nice guy. Yeah.
Kind of messed up because I actually fell asleep with a sunlamp, and half my face was kind of sunburned, right? And it was kind of weird. So I went there anyway, and we talked and stuff. And he said, "Well, I like what you're doing. Just stay in touch with me." And I'm like, "Why is he telling me to stay in touch if he's not going to hire me?"
Yeah. And
then the next thing I know, they had this Kiss FM, and they had this TV commercial with the Kiss with lips. Yeah. And it was, it's like tingling stars and stuff. And I'm like, damn, he stole my ideas. Why? That's why he wants me to stay in touch with him. So, Sonny Joe White, I'll never forget that.
It's amazing.
Unfortunately, he's not with us today, But, but
that's
the kind of stuff that goes on in the business. People steal your ideas and things like that. But
it's Russell, when you and I talked about naming the show, I was like all over the place, man. I just didn't know.
I was thinking Sun Kiss. I was thinking the Sun Kiss Starship show, man. Why not?
Yeah.
He had a freeze for a minute. He was like, "Did he say that?"
Well, someone else stole it. Well, you want to steal it again?
You gotta steal the song, right? You are my starship.
I'm here.
He's way down in New Orleans, man. How's he supposed to know? He ain't gonna know.
Hey guys.
Listen. What's up, Frank? How you doing, man?
I am very sorry. Got this new computer just for you, Charlie. Just for you.
Yeah, I love it, man.
I was tired of doing it on this iPhone. I said, look at all my boys. They're all
but you better give the credit, Frank. You better give the credit real quick as to where it should go. You better hurry up because she's gonna tell me something later.
I just talked to her.
Who were you talking to?
Your wife.
My wife?
Man, come.
You better give.
I'm so happy that I'm on.
You better give the credit. You better give her credit, man.
You better watch it. He's gonna take you in the ring, man.
I ain't messing. Never mess with Frank.
Yeah, Russell, you didn't see that.
I ain't messing with Frank. Frank had me up 5:30 in the morning at Upward Bound, man. He had us running like you wouldn't believe. Forget it. Push-ups, running. Please.
Yeah,
Derek, show that picture again, Derek.
It's kind of hard Let's see. There we go.
Oh.
See that it focused in. Oh wait, let me see.
Oh
Hi.
yeah. There you
There
go.
it is.
What?
Yeah, Derek came down to the fight capital.
Yep.
That's nice.
That gym right there, fellas, is the first MMA gym in the whole entire state.
Got it.
That launched Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, so many other of the old UFC guys.
Wow.
Yep.
Nice.
I met the old ref, the judge. See that?
Who's that?
Who's it? Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. A little bit closer. A little bit closer.
Yeah.
A little bit
Yeah,
closer.
and
Right
that's
there.
at
That's
Mayweather's
perfect.
gym.
That's perfect.
All
We
right.
got it. We
Okay.
got it.
And the little short dude
turned
is
off,
one of
Derek.
the best trainers in Las Vegas, like a Freddie Roach.
All right.
Wow.
That's Chris Ben.
Nice.
Yep.
I worked
It
with
was-
him for over 10
that-
years.
Yeah, we went
See-
to. I was telling him we went to Michael Mayweather's gym and stuff. It was awesome. Yeah, here we are outside of Mayweather's gym. This is a bad way to do it, but
Yeah. It's
Well, it almost works. Right there.
There,
Perfect.
there,
Hold
right
it right
there,
there.
perfect.
Right there.
we're outside the
Perfect. Perfect.
gym.
We
I
got
see
it.
the sign.
That's outside of Mayweather's.
Mayweather. Yep.
Yeah.
It's in
Oh yeah.
it's
Look
in
at
Chinatown area
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey.
in Vegas.
I'll
But
tell
Charlie,
you one.
this is your show, so let you conduct this. Go on,
All
Charlie.
right. You know, this is us. Like we're sitting, at the park wall or anywhere, this is us rapping. So this is what we're gonna do. It's kind of like my past guests, I had a barbershop segment where guys would just come in and talk about whatever. So this is kind of like a barbershop segment where we're just gonna talk about a few things. And it happens to be, John Gruden, former coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, and he got himself in a jam. Got himself in a jam because you know what? Some people think they're Teflon, they're bulletproof, and they
Yeah.
think that things just because you press a delete button they're gonna go away. But guess what? You send it to a lot of people, it's never gonna get deleted. It's always gonna be there. So
Well, his exodus from the Raiders was news on every channel, every newspaper, headline news, and you never think it was a big deal because he was like the most highly paid coach in the NFL, and for him to come out and say some egregious stuff like that, it was disheartening.
Yeah.
But it's not surprising,
Mhm.
and the reason it's not surprising, and I'll tell you, is because. And I always want to bring race, but it is race, okay?
Yeah.
It's like I always told my son, I said, as long as you're doing something for them, they fine with you. He didn't understand this until one day he was fighting forest fires up there in Reno.
Okay.
And they were giving him donuts and coffee and everything and praising him. And this goes back to Gruden and everything. And as soon as he took off that firefighter uniform, went to rodeo, he was called the N-word 2 or 3 times. Never heard that word in a derogatory because we bubbled him.
Mm-hmm.
He calls me on the phone and he tells me, "Pop, they call me this and this." I said, "Son, do me a favor, get the hell out of there. You probably the only one at this rodeo. Come home." But this
Frank froze up.
people in the
Froze
NFL,
up.
when you see all these players, Derek knows this. They come and praise the game. We make touchdowns. We catch passes. We do all these things. As long as we're in uniform, as long as we're in military, as soon as we step out of there, we ain't nothing.
Yep.
Go on, Derek. Take it from there. You know what I'm talking
Well,
about.
Charlie, I sent Charlie some pictures. I don't know if you had them available to show and stuff like that.
I do. Let me
Yeah.
let me go
What?
and
I met Gruden. I was with Calvin Brooks,
I saw that picture.
the brother of Clarence Brooks, who was the defensive line coach from the Ravens from New Bedford. Of course, we all know him, Clarence. And rest his soul. And we went to the sports bar at the Hilton, and there they were, John Gruden and Mike Tirico and the other broadcaster there. And so Calvin went over and started talking to Tirico because Brooks, his brother, Clarence, had coached at Syracuse. And I guess Mike Tirico went to school there. I didn't know that. So he knew him, and we were talking. And at the time, I was coaching girls' high school basketball, and they were real interested in that. And we took a picture, and you know, it seemed so normal and cool. And you would have never suspected that John Gruden would be the type of person that he turned out to be. But I guess he really is a Chucky inside, It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, I guess
that
so.
Chucky
Huh?
came out. And but that's going back a long way. That was from
Bless you.
2011 with
Yeah, bless you.
the emails and stuff. So it's
And
not,
Derek, we all felt the same way. He's a Raider coach. Raiders are all about brothers. Upshar and all those guys in the past.
right.
You would never suspect, just like you said. You went up to this guy, had a drink with him in a bar, and he turned out to have that kind of stuff in his heart, and that's what makes it hard for African Americans in any light when
And
you're
he's
out there.
hanging out with Mike Tirico and stuff, and he knows lots of black people. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's
They made
very
him rich.
sad that
They
people
made him
act like
rich.
that.
He knows a lot of them. They made us rich.
So, but I've encountered a lot of different situations with racism. You're from New Bedford on, with the radio. And when I was in high school, I sent Charlie the picture. I was.
I'm gonna get him. Just trying to download them from my laptop, so I don't hurt the internet connection between all of us.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I was, in the paper on Thursday to start. I would play that vote, New Bedford vote, and at the old vote, of course. And I was scheduled to start on Saturday. My picture was in the paper Thursday, and then all of a sudden, game time, and my good friend Roberto Carter was starting. And even Carol Pimento came over to the gate, and we were playing New Bedford High. Incidentally, we were visitors at Sergeant Field that day.
Nice.
And Carol Pimento came over because she's a Voc grad, and she said, "What happened?" And I just looked at it. I don't know. So I was never told anything, but what was going on in school was I spoke out against some issues that we had with haircuts, which is such a simple thing about how the standards were different for the brothers and for the white kids. And I got into arguments with the shop supervisor, and I went beyond what I probably should have for a student at my age and all, but it was difficult times, and we had come off the summers with Lester Lima being killed, a good friend of mine, and Kim and Gordon and Randy being shot at the same time, and it was by our junior high school principal's son, Mr. Brown.
Wow, I did not know that.
It's so crazy. Yeah, Mr. Brown at Roosevelt. And Mr. Brown, I always felt he was a fair man. He knew all, should be Lester Lima. He went beyond and above to try and not hand down harsh penalties to people. I mean, we had a tough crowd down there at Roosevelt, no doubt. But I always felt he was a fair man, and he actually went to Shubby's house. I've heard that he apologized to his mother and stuff, and maybe a lot of people don't know that. But he was an honorable man. It's just you can't control what your kids are going to do sometimes. They lived in Acushnet. A lot of elements out there, of course, surrounding areas in New Bedford. People harboring more racist feelings than maybe most people in the area for whatever reason. I don't know, but and then years later, I met Mr. Brown's daughter. She was teaching at Duval School, where I worked there, and I used to, substitute, and I was a part of the after-school program.
I remember that. I remember that.
So I helped out with the after-school program.
Yeah.
And she was another, very nice person. She was dedicated to helping the kids down there, no matter what race they were. And it's just that this one person in the family, just something, the outside influences just made him harbor these feelings. But there was no real justice for that, though. He never really spent much jail time or anything, from what I understand. And that's the horrible reality that we live in. So of course I was a very angry person at that time, and witnessing the riots and being involved in the community. You know, you had to react in some way, and I reacted the way I did. I wasn't influenced by anybody to do what I did. It's just my mind and what I felt was right. And so I was Colin Kaepernick before Colin Kaepernick. And
I was
that's
going to
what
say
made
that.
me realize it, because
I was
I
just
had
going to
no
say that.
idea what had happened to me. And until what happened to Colin Kaepernick, then I started piecing things together. And then I realized it's like, 30 years later, what really happened to me, why I was benched,
Mm-hmm.
because I spoke out. And that was that's the reality of it. And it may not ever been was never spoken about or anything, but it ruined my sports career more or less, because I ended up transferring in the middle. I was playing basketball after for Tubba Lowney and Terry Gomes, the two best coaches I felt in New Bedford.
Yep.
And I enjoyed playing for Tubba Lowney, and then I got suspended for a haircut, and my grades were suffering because my shop supervisor's son took over my related class. And, the nepotism with that, his son gets the job after my shop teacher, the related class teacher, died, Mr. LeClaire, who was another great man. And so I just felt that my future at Volk was not going to be good. And it really pained me to have to leave in the middle of basketball season. I was playing 6-man, 7th-man for Tubba Lowney, and I was a junior. And, I know I was going to be starting. Of course, I was already the starting quarterback, so I would have been starting next year for sure, because I started the last game. I ended up starting in the last game against Diamond Volk, and of course, we won that game, and I called some very significant plays. I threw a 50-yard touchdown pass, and
Wow.
it kind of turned the coach's head around. But I was doing other things, practice, and they had sent me to JV games, and we were like just blowing teams away. I mean, I was throwing probably over 100 yards almost for most games. And I had people like Calvin Peener,
Good running back. Great running back.
Gary Thomas, great receiver for me.
Yep.
I mean, it just goes, there's so many folks, I can't remember everybody's name, but I played with some great people at Volk. It's just, we were always playing out of our league too. We were playing schools that we should have never competed against. And I asked my cousin Gary, because he was the quarterback before me. And yeah, that was the picture, that appeared. And Gary Pope, who was my cousin who played at Volk too. And I asked him about that, and I said, why were we playing schools that were not in our district? We didn't have a district. We were independent. But he said Mr. Janiak wanted to play the best schools. But if we were playing schools that were in our category, because we weren't supposed to be playing schools like Attleboro and Durfee and New Bedford High, because they were just big schools, and we weren't. We didn't have that, and we were probably like a 3A team at best. If you look at it that way, maybe a 4. But we were playing.
Let me jump in for a second, Derek. Let me jump in for a second. First of all, that's a great picture of you, man. That's beautiful. And I come into this as a insider, then an outsider, then an insider. Mm-hmm. But I see, when I came to New Bedford High, I saw exactly what you saw. Even this was, you went to vote, but I saw this at New Bedford High. I said, why are the kids in New Bedford High being funneled to these programs that aren't going anywhere? Whereas the other kids, they had I don't know, they call them AP, but they had the chemistries and the biologies and all that. And we were subjugated to the core remedial classes and stuff like that. And I tell you, I always thought New Bedford missed the ball when they didn't come out and reach out to you Cape Verdean kids, myself, and try to get us, elevate us to a different level. They never tried that. And so where do we go from there? You weren't college
And
ready, right?
yeah, and it all stems from, we you had a few people in place as far as within the school, but not enough people that were able to fight, and maybe take a
Yeah,
stance like Derek did in school. You had people on the faculty that could do that, but they also knew the game. There was,
exactly.
well, if I make waves, what's going to happen to me? Derek's a
Right.
student, and look what they're doing to him. I'm a teacher, I'm an administrator, whatever. Maybe I just need to let him do this fight on his own. And that's the problem back then, is that there was people that were in place, but
Well, we
they
didn't
were,
have any minority teachers at Folk, I don't think. I
well,
don't
they
remember
did.
any, except Terry Gomes.
Yes, and there was I and man, Derek, I can't. I was too young, but all I can tell you is that the wooden track, I was always there. Even though I
Right.
was a South End
Yeah.
kid, but I was there playing around. But there was one faculty member. I can't think of his name. He was a black dude, and he came out and he always talked to us. He wasn't worried about shooing us off the. He just said, "Hey, come here, let me talk to you," and then he rapped with us. But I can't think of his name, and I mean, he could have been a teacher aide. I don't know, but to me, he was a grown man that talked to us.
Yeah,
So, but he was up. He was genuine to us. So
that's good.
let
You, you know,
um
I was going to just interject. I don't know if you when we went to New Bedford High School, there was New Bedford High School sports, but we had outside of New Bedford High School, you had the junior barristers. I don't know if you guys remember Kenny Soers. Kenny Soers was a quarterback, and he was an amazing quarterback. Kenny Soers was the best quarterback, and just like yourself, the barristers, which was a junior team, was playing college teams, and you had guys like Benjamin Burns, Roland Logan, my brother Buddy. You had all these names of these guys that were amazing football players. Joe Dias, Donald Tavares. They were just playing like professional football players. And the coaches that we had, even though they weren't at New Bedford High School, like David Fonseca, you had what's his name, Butch Firmino. You had all these outside coaches that you would have thought would have been in the high school. So one of the problems I always had as an athlete in New Bedford High School, there was never anybody that looked like me, and I always just wondered what's going on here. Unfortunately, because of my injury, my back injury, I had made the sophomore football team. It was only Kenny Johnson and myself were the only wide receivers, and then when my doctor said you can't play contact sports, I said, well, heck, man, I swim. Let me swim. And there weren't anybody on the team, that swimming team, that looked like me. But I said, guess what? I swim down the beach every summer, all of us. And I said, I'm going to go and try out for the team. So on my third, I tried out for the team, and I was on it for 3 weeks until finally my back failed. And I was free swimming, and I mean, I was
Good. See, I didn't know
I
that.
was fast. I never got. I'm not. Of course, I'm not going to get my picture on the wall from it. But I was 3 weeks on the New Bedford High School swimming team, and probably was one of the first to do that. I mean, it wasn't like something that we weren't familiar with. Everybody down the South End could swim.
Right.
JoJo
Well,
Forts,
except me.
JoJo Forts, all of them. JoJo Forts used to swim. JoJo Forts used to get in trouble because he used to swim right across the river. He would swim to the other side.
That's wild.
You had
I can swim now, though.
You had all these great swimmers, man, and we were the
That's
best
true.
swimmers. And when they got rid of the raft, they got rid of the raft down the South End. We had 2 rafts. My father taught me how to swim when I was like 8 years old, swimming out to the raft. And when you got rid of the raft down the South End, none of those kids could ever imagine how we were swimming like we were in the Caribbean. We could dive 30 feet.
Sure.
We could swim back and forth to the raft. We were excellent athletes. I mean, when you got rid of the raft, what was left?
Right. Well,
The best street ball playground player I've ever seen was a guy named Jeffrey Martin. Did you guys remember him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jeffrey Martin, yeah.
Oh, man. I can't believe you just said that.
Like I said,
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought
this
that
guy
up.
is crushing everybody on the wall or wherever he was.
He was
He wasn't
fast.
even on the team.
He was fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was the Earl of Pearl.
Come on, he was playing Buttonwood Park. If you ever went to Buttonwood Park and watched him play, he was fast. He was so fast. He's got a brother, Robert. Remember, Charlie? You said you was going to we were going to do a dedication to him because he was an amazing athlete, right?
He sure was. My neighbor.
Definitely.
Let me
Okay.
you know,
And his
I
sister
did,
was a good
I
ball
want
player too,
yeah.
Kathy.
Yeah, she was very good. Um the and Derek knows that I was only 2 doors away from them, so I seen them every day. And you know what? If I heard a basketball, it was from Jeffrey or Kathy,
Jeff,
one of them.
Right.
what a,
So the
he was a good man. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll do something on him definitely. I wanna go back, reflect back to what um Russell was saying. The reason why a lot of the minority coaches or people were not in place in all these school systems is because they wasn't employees. So that's
Right.
something that's been going on for many, many years, and that's the one thing that could keep most of the coaches that we believe that should be in place out of the school system. And the only way they could do that is to go to the school system and get
Right.
employed there.
The
So
teachers or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
so but I want to go back to this comment here, and Mike Samayo, definitely a past guest on the Really Charlie podcast, and I'm also going to get back to a comment that Michael Santos had said also. So, but we're going to get back to these emails, and the reason, I mean, I don't. What happened to Coach Gruden is it happened, and just and there was justification there, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
For
problem I
sure.
have with everything is, all right, he's getting burned at the stake, and but as you see in his comment, it says I would expect the Wall Street Journal and New York Times to pull each thread of the 650K emails, much more to come on this,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's what I want to see, because you know what, if the regardless of how big John Gruden is, he's still a small piece of this, because the people that he was writing were big shots. They were bigger than him. You know what? And they're
Yep.
not coming out. Why aren't they coming out? And the emails are there, and I want them to come out, and I hopefully they do. I'm not condoning this, and I'm not saying that that we Gruden got what he got, and you're the one that got caught. It's like that second person that hit on the football field. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you got caught. The first one did, but
Yeah.
hey, so what's your opinion about this 650 emails? I mean, that's 650,000 emails. Um,
That's quite a
A lot of
history.
emails.
I mean,
that's I
I was
bet you in
reading the
those emails you can write a book just on those emails.
yeah, I was reading the article because I wanted to catch up on the speed because I didn't really know anything about it. I usually listen to the news, but the past couple of weeks that we've had to deal with the fallout from Hurricane Ida and stuff, and I, I
I'm glad you're
had been
safe, man.
chilling and
Yeah.
getting back home and trying to take care of business, and so I didn't even know about it until I was talking to Frank, and I went to research and find a little background on it, and I mean it goes back several years, and some of the people he was talking about, the commissioner and calling them names, and it's sort of like childish in a way,
Yeah.
and then making comments about Sam, the gay player, and things like that. I mean,
But
you would
bigotry
think
is
that this
childish,
guy,
man.
It sure is.
yeah, you
Yeah.
would think this guy would know better. And yeah, the people he's writing, what was their response? Are they entertained by this? Are they telling this guy, we don't want to hear that, what were their replies? But yeah, there's going to be more
Yeah.
that comes out about it for sure. It's just going
And
to take a
normally,
while, I think. That's all.
yeah, and the first response, I got myself in trouble with emails, at work, and you know what? Sometimes you got to take a stand. I took a stand, and I got in trouble for it. But
Right.
the thing is somewhere down the line, when in my personal experience, what happened is after I sent that, you know, a lot of friends said, "Hey, Charlie, what's going on? Hey, man, don't do that. What are you doing? Stop." There was a stop. But the thing with Gruden, there was never a stop. No one
Right.
said stop. It always
That's
it
what I'm
led to
saying. Right.
another piece. Another subject matter, and it just goes on. Well, if you're his good friend, why don't you just say stop? And
Exactly.
it
Or
never
it's not
happened.
called for or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Especially,
but again, it speaks to the person's heart, what they have inside. How do they really feel about you? And that's what you want. You want a person,
Right.
love, man. That's what it's all about. You can love a white person, black person, Chinese person. You can love anybody,
yeah,
but you
and
can
and
also hate them. And we want to know if you hate us.
in
We
this
know
spectrum,
when things
yeah,
happen, we want to know why they happened. Is it because we did something wrong, or is it because you don't like us?
mhm. And it's what
I'm
I
reading
find
Michael's
around here.
comment.
Go ahead, Derek.
I was just reading Michael's comment, and about he's talking about it's a problem, of course, at NFL, ESPN, a lot of places. I mean, a lot of workplaces have that. I had workplace issues. I mean, it it's amazing that from a young person, I've had to deal with racist issues my whole life, and I even was put back in fifth grade. Myself and another young man, Robert Nichols, and we were two Cape Verdean kids in a class in class at Duval School in fifth grade, and I transferred. My mother moved, and we transferred there, and it was an adjustment for me, but I was shocked that I was put back. Myself and this other kid, Robert Nichols, were we were only two Cape Verdean boys in the class, and we both stayed back.
Uh,
Well,
I couldn't,
everybody, hey, let me tell you, all the kids in West Lawn were put back at least once when
and
I was
it's
growing up. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. But see, no one was putting these teachers in check. Um, so the one thing that solidified that I knew was a racist thing is because years later, when I went to work at that school as a substitute, when I went and she was working at her name was Miss Pliskin, just to say it, I don't care, but
yeah, yep.
she was working at the school, and when I walked into the teacher's room, she jetted out the back door. Man. So it's like she felt guilty or whatever it was. She couldn't face me, and but you know what? The funny part is that Robert Nichols and I ended up in the same freshman class at Volk. And he was
Wow.
my neighbor. We lived across the street from each other. I lived on Forest County, and he lived on Forest Street. And we became neighbors, and we were in the same class at Volk as a freshman, which is really ironic. I mean, that's just an amazing thing. But I ended up transferring back. My mother moved back to the neighborhood, so I ended up back at TA Green, where I was with my old fifth grade teacher, Miss McMullen. A year later, she had the same look on her face that she had when she told us that President Kennedy was killed.
Wow.
She couldn't believe I was back again in the fifth grade. I saw that. I remember that look distinctly. She had that same look on her face, and she was in shock. And because she knew that there's no way I should have been back in the fifth grade class because I knew my work. And so
Exactly.
that was kind of
My wife.
something else that I didn't realize till later that it was a racist thing that had happened
Yeah.
to me. But hey, you're growing up in the neighborhood. I got called white boy. I got called nigger. I mean, but I'm who I am, and
Yeah.
I'm barely, as light as I am. The only white in my family was from my great grandmother on my mother's side, who was half English and half Portuguese.
Hmm.
She married a dark-skinned Cape Verdean man in the late 1800s, and she was disowned by her family. She came from St. Michael, and she married my great grandfather, and that was a badass lady right there, because she
Yep.
didn't care what people said or did, and I'm proud of her because,
Hmm.
and then proud of my grandmother because she carried on the same way, light skin. Most people think she's a white woman, but she always stood for the community, always stuck with her Cape Verdean heritage, her people. That was the majority of her inner.
That's good. And
Speak
Yeah,
it,
froze a little
Portuguese.
bit.
yeah, it froze.
Yeah,
All
What's
right,
that?
you
that's
froze
all right.
up
You
a
just
little
had a
bit there,
moment of
but
Oh,
freeze.
okay. But
the
yeah, it's amazing that you've had to deal with stuff like this as a young child and grow up and still experience it. On work in here, and I had to file EEOC complaint here. I sent you the picture, Charlie. They posted to represent me at work
well,
at a
in
hospital
fact,
fitness center.
I'm gonna show this. This is a
Yeah, that's
picture of
my
our.
that's my ID picture.
That's his ID picture. So that's the one.
It's from 2008, 2007, actually.
That's the official picture, which
Right.
led to this.
This is what they posted to represent me. After Obama won, they started
Uh,
showing themselves.
now, it the the craziest thing is that you see what his picture is, and as you know, whoever
What's
put that in
that?
there,
Some
yeah,
my
it's a
coworkers did that.
yeah, and so it's a software program. So whoever put it in there, it's dated and timed when that picture was put in. And the thing is, electronically, everything has a fingerprint. You can tell, and
Exactly.
you can definitely know where that came from, who put it in, what payroll was signed in, and regardless if it was someone else's account, guess what? You definitely know what terminal it was in, so you
Sure.
Where was
figure,
this at, Derek? I'm
I
sorry
was
to
at
jump
yeah,
in.
West Jeff Hospital Fitness Center, the parish hospital, West Jefferson Hospital. I transferred from. I was working at Keesler Air Force Base at the fitness
I
centers,
know
but
where
I
that's
was
at.
I was driving 99 miles to work every day. So when I realized I didn't realize that I had passed two exits and didn't realize how I got there driving to work. I was like, no, I can't keep driving like this every day, because you realize you're two exits past where you're supposed to be and you don't know how you got there. It's like I
hmm
was dozing, man. My car knew where
yeah,
to go, but I wasn't paying. So I had to come back closer to home, and I did, and things started out fine. But when Obama won president, they started acting up. This is the kind of retaliation they did. I discovered it by accident. Actually, that picture had been posted up there long before I found it, because I don't
wow,
usually go on my own profile. But one day I just decided to check uh, the site, because that's what pops up when you check into the gym with your card, or for our visitors and stuff, and for me too. But no one said anything. So when I found it, of course, it was a big issue, and I didn't even say anything for a while. I just wanted to see how it played out, and then I showed my cards at an opportune time, and of course the retaliation came at me.
hmm
It didn't. I mean, the person that put it up there got fired, but she didn't get fired because of that. She got fired because she was actually training people and taking money. And that's
wow,
what they were making sure I'm putting people's names in the book all the time, excuse me, to make sure that I wasn't doing that. And I'm wondering why they're asking me these questions and stuff. And, I used to work with the kids program, and I come in the morning and stuff's thrown all over the place, and I get an email that says, well, you need to clean this room at night. The room was in perfect shape when I left. Come in the morning, stuff's thrown all over the place because they come in earlier, and that's what they were doing. But they were like children, childish stuff. But that kind of stuff is what the hospital didn't really make amends to me. They didn't really do anything. I filed an EEOC complaint, and then when somebody filed a false report on me, saying I sexually harassed somebody. They went after me, and
wow,
EEOC didn't do nothing. It was retaliation. I talked to the director in Houston. They did nothing. The investigator they had was horrible.
Louisiana,
They
okay?
didn't care about me individually, but in the long run, they did have to hire minorities. They did hire people. I made changes there because I didn't stop just with them. There was issues with the Better Business Bureau that I had to deal with because the guy that was running the fitness center, he was the head of it. He allowed that atmosphere, and he was on the board of the Better Business Bureau. So I even wrote them, and I mean, I created a lot of ways, and I wrote city council members, county council members and stuff.
So some
They
good
didn't
did
do
come from it.
anything.
So
What's that,
Terry,
Frank? I didn't hear you.
some good did come from
Something
that.
good did. Everything that's happened to me, some kind of good came out of it because I took action. Uh, you know, it didn't
Of
benefit
course.
me. I should have got a lawyer first of all, right away. That's what I would like the people to know. If you have an issue, go consult with a lawyer. Find an
Yeah.
attorney that's going to help you because them people, most jobs, human resources, no, it's human waste departments. That's what they are. They don't care about the employees. All they care about is status quo, keeping things moving along. And if employee causes some kind of rift or wave, get rid of them. That's what they do. They're
And
not interested in solving issues, solving
it's
problems.
it's always human resources is always an extension of the administration or the people that are
Exactly.
supervising you. So and I agree, it's a waste. You can write 10, 20 pages, you can definitely do all you can go from A to Z, have everything in, but sometimes it goes to those agencies, departments, and guess what? It goes nowhere, and
Yep.
makes you want to say, hey, maybe I should have just punched the person in the face,
Well,
just,
Charlie.
and I would have got better staff. It would have been less stressful. I would have said,
it,
all right, yeah, all
yeah,
right, I don't got a job, but guess what?
I would have got fined anyway, right?
Yeah.
You know what I did one time? I'll never forget. Obama was elected president the second time. So I had to go to Nellis Air Force Base for some routine stuff. So I go into the visitor center. Now I'm a visitor. And I look up on the wall and I see the base commander, the wing commander, squadron commander. And I said, hey, where's the president? He's supposed to be at the top of the chain of command. And the guy looked at me, no, you don't have. In the spot they had, welcome to Nellis Air Force Base. I said, no, that's supposed to be where the president is. So I was.
Sorry, I'll come back on.
I went home, placed the phone, I said, let me talk to the base commander's secretary, please. And I said, my name is Frank Slaughter, former, Air Force guy. And I came to the visitor center today and I saw the chain of command without the president's face up there. Do me a favor, tell your commander, if the picture's not up there, when I come back next time, he's going to be talking to his commander, who is Obama, to find out why he's not respected in the chain of command at Nellis Air Force Base. When 1 million people go through that base every year and they see that picture when they go through the visitor center. Next time I was there, the picture was up there.
That's right.
Guess what? You were probably one of many people that passed that, and many people probably with the same credentials you have, but they just didn't say anything. And they always tell you, you got to speak up. You got to speak up, and you can speak up one-on-one. You have to do it because guess what? It's don't make the status quo. Don't when they're ignoring things. You got to bring it to the attention and shed some light on it. I'm not going to go into this conversation that I have, but later on I'll talk to you guys about it, individually, with similar to what Frank is saying. And I haven't got to it, but I got a big issue with a major company, major company. It's been around since we all were kids, and I got to deal with it. But I just, I got put my energy elsewhere. But I will deal with it. So the hold on, I want to talk to Frank. We we had a conversation. We wanted to get this all started. Talking about Gruden and I got a local issue with the Museum African American History that's in Nantucket, and it was you know they they put some graffiti on it, had some nasty statements about you know black folks, and it thing is with that issue was in 2017, 18, 18, and it's not getting dealt with. Everything's past the buck, and a town resident in Nantucket had to deal with it civilly so someone can address it. But all the administration, selectmen, chief of police, everybody's just passing the buck, and but I'll get to that. Frank, I want to. We decided we're going to talk about Gruden
Yeah.
and being in Vegas. There's a
Hmm.
whole, that it. I mean, he was like the emperor, probably walking down the street when they first introduced that the Vegas. The Raiders are going to Vegas, and it's John Gruden. He already had that iconic status.
Everything you can think of, this guy had at his feet. Yes.
Yep. And so as you're in that city, there have to be numerous billboards, commercials, everything. What happened? Explain to us what happened in Vegas with this man's picture all over the place.
Well, because he represents the NFL, and NFL was what, 75% African American.
Mhm.
They responded. They responded in the right way. He's gone.
Yep.
They got an interim coach right now. He got taken out of the circle of
Oh, the Ring of
honorees
Honor.
in Tampa Bay.
Yep.
So they're
Ring
doing
of
the
Honor.
right thing because it is the right thing to do. This ain't like we're talking like you have problems in 17. Derek had problems. We all have problems, but we move forward and
Mhm.
we try to correct them, not through not through hate. We use our brains, just like
Yeah.
Nellis Air Force Base. I could have yelled and screamed and got dragged out of there. Derek at his job, he could have got fired and all, like they said, they brought up all ugly things about him that didn't happen just to deflect. But we have to move on from these things, and we have to give the next generation, Charlie, the strength to stand on our shoulders so they can make that incremental move forward. And that's all we do. We move
Frank,
forward.
how was the news media handling it out there?
Oh, the news. No, they're talking. They're not. They ain't nobody standing behind this guy.
Uh-huh.
With all the good things that he brought to the city, the Raiders, all the money that's coming to the city. I mean, it's fabulous. The stadium is probably one of the most fabulous stadiums right now in the NFL. No, they're not putting up with it. And I'll tell you what, I'm proud of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Our police department, we don't get that. We have our problems, but not near as much as what you have in Louisiana or other places.
Yeah.
We've always been inclusive. We're a democratic state. Our governor's democratic. Our senators, our Congress people, our state representatives. We have a machine here, and we all inclusive. We got a big Hispanic population, and we come together here. We got a big Asian community population, and we come together on the most part. Of course, we got knuckleheads. Always have knuckleheads.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're chatter. They're little chatter, and they can be ignored. And this city knows what it means to be a tourist destination, and they don't put up with that stuff.
Yep.
Exactly. Good. The we I'm glad Vegas is doing that because my perception of Vegas is a great city, and so I have so much fun there. I have the moments I was there. Yeah, I'm a tourist and I'm doing all kinds of things, but I got to tell you that everyone I came across that was working there in a professional level, whether inside the building or outside the building or just strangers, they were courteous.
That's
But
true.
it's like any other city, you got to be streetwise too. You got to pay attention.
Yeah.
There's you know
There's a rough
things
side
can
of
happen.
town.
Yeah, and you got to. It's like anything else. But I'll say Vegas is good before I say it's bad. But it's
Well,
like anything else.
Well, Charlie, I adopted this city. It took me a long, long time to call Vegas my home and not say New Bedford, Massachusetts was my home. It took me a long time. Got married, had kids. Still, I wasn't there. But then one day, I started getting involved in the community, stumping for this senator, this congressperson. I was chair, the head of the chair at one of the Democratic conventions here and all that stuff. And I finally, this is home. This is my kids are grown. So when 08 came and the downturn came and the crash came and we were making money, Manny Pacquiao came here and he fought. I went to Oscar Goodman and said, listen, Mayor, you got to give this boxer the key to the city. He looks at me and said, what, Frank? I said, I tell you what, give me your email. I'll email the things you've done because it's too much for me to talk to you and you got too many things to do right now. I emailed all the things Manny done. Especially, I said he could have fought anywhere in the state. He could have fought California, Los Angeles. He could have fought in the Superdome. He could have fought in, anywhere, but he chose to fight here. And every time he fought here, he brought in people. He wasn't a neighborhood star. He was an international star. People would come from all over. And so the mayor said, Frank, we're going to give him the key to the city. And that was one of my best days in life. Manny up there, and they handed the key to the city. Me and Oscar Goodman. I have to find that picture. Took a picture with the trophy belt, which is worth millions of dollars. I forget how many diamonds was in that belt. They had cops around it. The mayor just to take pictures with the belt, so nobody run off with it. And the winner of that fight kept the belt, and that's when he fought Cotto. But I went a little step further. I would say, you know what? People come to Vegas. Let me give them something. I went to UNLV. Got 3 big boxes, about maybe 200 or 300 T-shirts a piece in each box. Sat at the MGM where the fight was out, and I said, if you from out of town, here's a T-shirt. Say, how much it costs? How much I'll pay for it? No, they're free. Thanks for coming to this town. And within an hour, 900 T-shirts were gone.
Yep.
And that's that's just me thinking to thank people for coming here.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
Cool, man.
You can't. You just can't.
Frank's a gracious host out there. I had a good time.
Oh yeah. He's you know what? That man, Frank Slaughter, the little things that he does is so big, to me, he's done just little things, he's made me contact a few people, and guess what? I got Jeff Mayweather sending me a text and talking to me. And I'm like, this is because of Frank, and the good dude he is. And I'm like, man, this is
Frank
nice.
So,
you know what, Frank? I'm gonna give you your flowers eventually, but you may not want it. But you know what? I'm gonna do something for you, brother. Just because I like your conversation, your history, Derek, your history, Russell, your history. I'm trying to be history. These stories have to be passed on to other people. It's got to be passed on to people, only because it's good nature. So let's share this good nature with people, and maybe they can learn a little bit from us. Except Russell, Hey, Russell. I want to interject. Listen, Russell. Wait, don't talk, man. Your wife's there. I'll have her slap you upside the head.
Hey, please, man. Come on.
All right. What are you doing in that she shed anyway?
She heard it, man. She's gonna come over here and give me problems.
Get it on her.
As it is, I had to hang up that. See that thing in the back of the hot, so I had to hang that up, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I have my airplane. You see my airplane in the back?
Yeah.
You see my airplane? Look.
Mm-hmm.
Look, let me show you my airplane, man.
A biplane.
Made that out of toilet paper rolls.
I made this out of toilet paper roll, man.
Bounty roll,
my son could fly in one of them. About 6 months ago, my son flew in a biplane.
I made that.
Yeah.
Is that real? You did that one out of toilet paper rolls? That one?
Yeah, I made that. I make him out of toilet paper roll. But I think Charlie was about to say something to me. Go ahead, Charlie.
Listen. I'm not gonna talk about you.
Don't talk about me, man.
You're my friends.
Cause I have to talk like Muhammad Ali. If I have to tell you, I'll knock you out if you say something.
All right.
Get it, Russell.
Yeah.
But Charlie, you have made
three times heavyweight champion of the world.
you ran for mayor. You had a great career as a
Frank.
police officer.
Frank used to make me run in the morning at 5:30 at UMass.
Derek,
5:30 in the morning. He had us running. 5:30 in the morning. He made us do push-ups. He made us run in a circle. This man was brutal, man.
he's just like Ali. He interrupted Derek, man. That's just like Ali used to do. Interrupt everybody, man. You just interrupted Derek. He was going to give me some praise, you know, and you just interrupted him. Just put it, you know, Russell. Man.
But Russell's a ham though. He's an actor. He's been on TV, movies. He's so he can't help it.
Let's not talk about TV. You guys didn't see this guy. This guy's been on every program you can imagine. He's just staying humble. Yes, he has.
But
you're the idol. You guys are the idol for me because both of you know that. You're the one that, and the biggest opportunity I ever had for you, Derek, is when I had a radio show at UMass. I invited you, remember, to come up, and the whole theme was finding the sun-kissed starship show, remember? So I started off like we were in space and we were trying to find you. We were playing P-Funk and all that stuff. And I was saying, we're going to find the sun-kissed starship show. And then all of a sudden you popped on the radio, remember?
Yep.
That was cool stuff, fun, man. Yep. You guys are the ones and we could, and that's why we got from you and then we give on to other young people the same way that we all treat each other right. Because sometimes, the stuff that we talked about today, some people aren't very nice. Like my son was telling me today, Dad, sometimes people aren't nice to me, man. And, and I said, and I felt bad. I said, I'm sorry. He goes, I try to be nice to them, but they're not being nice to me. And I said, you can give out, but if they're not going to be nice, you can just kind of turn and go your way. You don't have to say anything bad, but just walk away. That's all.
But isn't that a Cape Verdean thing, Charlie, Derek, Russell? Isn't that a Cape Verdean thing of always being nice first?
Yeah.
But then we got the other side, don't wrong us.
Yeah.
Well, you don't do that. You don't do that. You don't
gracious do that. People.
You don't do that. Well, very gracious. Let me tell you a short story. When I was going to UMass, I always wanted to read the news, and I was telling Charlie this story last time. I used to go in a room and practice all the time, and the guy would come up to me and he would tell me, open the door. He was one of the managers. He said, you just don't look like a newscaster. I couldn't believe he would say that. And I'd close the door and say, look, get out of Shumbai, man. Go. You don't know the word, go somewhere. And I would practice. And he was a really, really big guy. He was overweight. And then years later, I was going up by Stang, and there was an ice cream shop there. And I went in there with my kids, and the guy was there. And I looked at him. He looked familiar, but he had lost so much weight. And so I got my kids the ice cream. I said, oh, nice seeing you. And I was on my way to walk out. And he says, please, can I say something to you? And I looked at him and said, what would you want to say? He says, you know what? He says, I really want to say sorry for the way I acted years ago with you. He goes, I was so insecure about myself. I was fat. I was ugly. And I used to see you sit there and work so hard to try to train to read news. And you just never stopped. And, I'm very sorry about that. Moments like that, to me, are so big and better than like what Frank said. It's all the times that he went up there and said to me, you don't look like a newscaster. I could have just punch him in the nose or something. But you see, I didn't take that action. I just closed the door and said, sooner or later, the good will go beyond the bad things that have happened.
Yeah,
but to see the person say, karma. He would say he was sorry was the best thing in the world, to look at you in your face and say, I'm very sorry what I did. So he was really doing that. Why? I don't know why. What were you doing that for then? But it paid off to him to say he was sorry. So say you're sorry. Say you're sorry,
jealousy. Chubby Tavares wrote that song, Jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason for it. I mean, anybody can be in the limelight, can get your share. You have to work at something. Things don't just automatically happen for you sometimes, you got to work at it. Sometimes people get lucky, But sometimes, those who get into situations, sometimes it's because they know somebody. I mean, Louisiana is a big proponent of that, but even New Bedford, you know somebody, you get a job. I was told just get your degree and find who you know, and that's how it works sometimes. But it doesn't last, because if you're not doing the job and you're not putting out quality work, you're not going to be able to, you're not going to make it. I mean, we have a city here that is dysfunctional at times because they didn't hire qualified people to do their jobs. We had an IT director under Ray Nagin in New Orleans who didn't even have a degree in IT or something. He forged his information, and he's making all this money running a department, and he wasn't qualified. He
Wow.
just knew the guy, went to school with him or something, and you get a job like that. People, that's what happens, and that's nepotism. It happens both white and black. I mean,
Yeah.
but mostly it happens with white folks. I mean, you look at how Donald Trump became president. The guy was the biggest failure of a businessman in the history of the country, maybe the world.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you lose $1 billion, man? Come on, that's just incomprehensible. But he was handed it. He was handed money. He didn't respect anybody. But they bailed him out. People like him get bailed out because of what they are, who they are. But
Yeah,
if
and
he was a
everything.
black man, that wouldn't have happened. He would never be no president. Come on.
Sometimes what happens is that they're all.
Hey, I see you, Michael Gomes.
Yeah, nobody. They're not. No one tells them no. And everything's yes, 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 yes.
Right.
When you have money like that, yes, okay, all right, sir. Yes, master, whatever.
The
It just.
illusion of money.
Yeah, and it just.
Exactly. They're losing.
Yeah. So
Losing $1 billion, man. That's
man.
a
I just
that's
want
a
a
heavy
hundred.
task.
I can
I
make
don't know how you do
100,000.
that.
I can make 100,000 go a long way. Never mind. It got a billion.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Lasts a lifetime.
The
Exactly. But,
I have I just I try to bring all kinds of things on issues on this podcast, and I just want to let every single one of you know that I don't have any problem talking about anything whatsoever. So if you want to come on and talk about something, you just let me know, and it could be good, bad. Trying not to bring too much of the ugly stuff out, but in politics and religion, kind of just puts people in a bad way, man.
yeah.
And I wasted so much energy during the pandemic. I'm like, why didn't I just turn around, or just, you know, I want to put I wanted to make a T-shirt say hashtag no comment because I
Right.
wanted
There
to
you
do that. I
go.
was just so tired of just fighting, and I lost some family and friends. So,
I understand that.
over an argument, and I just, but feel free to please, anything you want on here, just get in touch with me and we'll try to do this.
When you
Um,
get Jeff Mayweather on, let me know, brother.
I'm
I'll
on
talk to him
waiting, man.
at
Well,
the gym.
I want the family to definitely grieve and go through the
Yeah.
emotional stage that they're going through, but I'm gonna wait and I'm definitely get them on there. And I mean,
Yeah, you were the
Frank's
one who
talking.
told me he wasn't. And you, Frank, he's out of town. I said, what? Somebody died in his family. Then I called Otis and found out. Yeah, Frank, we're all in Michigan. Said I got that from Charlie.
Wow.
I didn't
Hey.
know that here. It was probably a private thing, but
Hmm.
it's good to know. And
Yeah.
thank you, Charlie.
I'll tell you
we've
what. I'll reach out to anybody. I'm trying to do this thing right. I'm not intimidated of trying to reach out to someone. But you know what, Frank? The thing was, is you asked me to. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm a man of my word. I got to do it. I got to do it. So I feel comfortable about myself, and that my friend asked me to do something. I did it. It didn't work out, or it did work out. At least I want to give you an answer to say, Frank, it's not gonna happen. And I like working with Russell every day. I got to do everything. I'm creating the song list for the place for WMB1. Russell don't want to do anything, you know. He don't do anything, you know. He just sits there, you know.
I ain't do nothing. I do nothing.
Give me 5
I'm
songs.
not,
I gotta wait. I
I'm
gotta
not
wait
doing
2
nothing.
weeks for 5
Hey,
songs.
I'll tell you what. One thing I will do though, man, is I will sing on that radio show pretty soon.
You cannot sing. Listen.
I missed out on Victor Tavares singing Check It Out, but I did ask him, can I sing Check It Out? And he gave me permission to sing Check It Out. So when I talk to him further, he's going to tell me that I can sing Check It Out.
Listen, I'm already in contact with.
I can give you that. I can give you my voice and sing on the radio.
No,
No,
I'm already in contact with production. Brian Magnus going to be on it. You start singing, everything's getting muted. He's already on top of it. And you know how
you guys laugh. Listen, you guys laugh. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. You can laugh. I sang for the Morgan State Choir in Baltimore, and we traveled between New York and Baltimore singing, and I was with one of the biggest
that's
choirs.
A good thing all them other voices were
I was in one of the
voice.
biggest choirs in the country.
Yeah, they put you in the back, right?
It's a good thing all the voices were singing along the
cover. The wheel, way up in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw the wheel, way in the middle of the air. The big one runs by grace, the little one runs by the race of God. A wheel in a wheel.
All right, bro.
Practicing. I'm practicing.
Hey, Charlie, all jokes aside, us 4 guys, let's bring some content to your radio station every once in a while. I find something interesting in this part of the world. Derek, you find something interesting. Let's communicate, put it together before. Now I can see you guys thanks to your wife, Russell, and I can be on your show, and I don't have to have an iPhone and try to look at it. So yeah, I want this is a great show. I've been listening to your show, even though I'm not on it. I've been listening to a couple times a week. I'll tune in. That last girl you had, she was good. The writer, she was good. That was an interesting show.
Those people, they're getting nominated for Grammys, man. They're here on a really tough podcast, and it's just friends. It's just networking, doing the right thing, talking to different friends and and I'm blessed with it. I'm blessed with it, and I wanted these blessings to continue. And but along with this, man, I need some good music too.
Hey, one quick question to Frank. Frank, are you gonna invite us to Vegas so we can go in the gym and work out?
You come back.
You
got him in shock.
You froze on that one. Are you gonna let us go to the gym in Vegas to work out?
What, get together, all 3 of you guys. Let me know. Just not work out. We'll go places. We'll do things. Go to Utah. Go hiking. Something out of the ordinary.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna be able to get in the ring.
Say again?
We're gonna get in the ring. We're gonna be able to get in the ring.
Yeah, I can get you in
the ring like I did, huh? You wanna do that stuff, huh?
Yeah, I did grow up in the boys club, which is now the Boys and Girls Club. I better correct myself. Make sure I put the girls on the end, man.
That's right. You mentioned coaches like Bucky Vincent, Turtle Rosario, JoJo Rose. Those are some great coaches for kids.
Don't forget Manny Burgo.
Yeah,
Nathan.
Manny Burgo.
Yeah, that's my coach.
We had some great coaches back then too.
He got and you know what? I can't miss this opportunity. But we forget to mention Joanne Livermento. We forget to mention.
Yes.
Here she is. President of the New England Boxing Association. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it later. But first female. This woman here, New Bedford, did her thing around a bunch of men. And guess what? She did her thing. Her and her late husband Nathan Livermento, and so we gotta.
I did not know he passed.
Yeah, he's.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I'm sorry to put that out there, and you guys didn't know, but Nate is. I mean, doing extraordinary things. He did it here, New Bedford, throughout the New England area, and he did much more in Atlanta, Georgia. So Now his son's out there, Adam, doing his thing, and
That's good.
and so the and that's what I'm talking about. We can bring up any kind of conversation. You guys can just come on. We'll talk about anything. You know,
Well,
Derek
I got
and,
my
and
thinking
Frankie.
cap on, man. You saw
Yeah,
my thinking cap, right?
Oh,
This is
I want to
exactly.
thank you, Charlie. I want to thank you for one thing. My nephew talks highly of you, like you were his mentor.
I
My
love
sister
that dude.
Emmy's son Ashton always
He
talks about you. I
great
bring up
dude.
your name, you should hear him rattle you.
Yeah, I waved to him just a couple of days ago. He was going in the house, and I love him. He was good people, and know, no, with you two here and being Marines, that's another thing. A lot of young men and women are definitely not going to college. They're choosing to go to the Marine Corps. That's something that we can talk about. But there's so many other things, and it doesn't have
I
to
was
be
in the
about the stuff.
Army. Frank
You
was
was
a
in the Army.
Marine,
I'm
man.
sorry. You
Yeah.
know what? I did know that.
That's all right. I mean,
I
that's no
did
big
know that.
deal. I used to be a
I
recruiter
put
too,
kids in the
so
Marine. I mean, I put kids in. I let them choose their own branch, and then because kids are so out of shape. Derek knows this, that a lot of them want to make it through basic. So I give them a month training with me. Don't charge them anything. I have never had a kid fail basic.
Yeah.
Never.
And you know what? My two cousins, the twins, they both went. Story was crazy. They were both decided that they're not going to go to college. They don't want to put that expense on their parents, so they decided to join the U.S. Army. And they
right.
both, it just so happened they were, there was a decision that they were both going to go to basic in different parts of the country, and one had a problem, so they said, no, you got to come back next week. What happened is that just that decision done by the recruiter or whatever, it put him on delay. So being on that delay, they both went to basic training. They went to Fort Benning. Both of them, two brothers, same unit, everything, and it's crazy. They went through it all. They were there, and then they end up going to, being part of the 82nd Airborne, and
Well, that's
but that
awesome.
was a
That's
great
great.
story, and I want to get that story out because they went through so much. But what I want to get at is, that fresh break during basic training, usually around Christmas or whatever, a few months in, and they decide that they're going to give them some leave and they go home. So they go home, and I thought I knew my two cousins very well. But what happened is those boys became men just in those short few months.
Mm-hmm.
I
Wow.
couldn't believe what it did for them. And so I'm always trying to, I don't encourage and force anybody in any kind of direction. But if they come to me with some kind of conversation about the services, I'm gonna say, if that's what you want to do, I can help you, and I can put you
Right.
in the direction of see some people. But what I want to say is the military. What it does is these guys needed that. They needed that. They needed the maturity. They needed all that, and it
It
provided
teaches them
them.
accountability and to
Sure,
be responsible,
sure.
for themselves and others. You have to work as a team, and some people get handed some very expensive equipment at a young age, and they have to be responsible, and they
Mm-hmm.
learn how to do it. The way the Army teaches, I mean, and military in general, you learn so much in a short time. So you got to grasp it, and you got to pay attention. So you have to focus, and it's a good thing. But the other thing about my thinking cap, right? This is
Yep.
a black author from New Orleans. Okay, he has this. He wrote children's book called Bamsy Baby, and Bamsy is a character that he's developed, and he has an onstage play and stuff. Of course, things got really thrown back after COVID, but that's one of the things that I participated in recently was a Black Authors conference, and so I got to meet him. I was sitting near him and stuff, and he had some interesting stuff. So I bought a couple of his books. So you have young, well, he's not so young. He's a college grad. He's an older guy, but he left the corporate world to do this venture. So that's another thing. You got to take chances and opportunity. And he's created stage characters, and he has books, and it's an awesome thing when somebody just does something like that on their own and they can be successful. But of course, you can't see my shirt, but I have to show you it.
that's,
Finger Fire.
that's
Nice.
I
This
get
is
the
a
same
shout out
one.
to brother Calvin Pina in
I,
Florida, Fort Walton Beach, who I
yep.
play football with at Volk. They call him Peanut.
Hmm.
Calvin's a Harley rider. He's in the Gulf Coast Riders, a black motorcycle organization club here in the South. And I was hanging out with Calvin after Ida, and got to go to a club and see him perform, and I had a really good time out there. So he's doing well. His band is called Finger Fire. He's got a couple of CDs they've done and stuff. So
He
uh,
was on the
another
podcast. That's
another
my
brother
cousin. You
from
know that.
oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Another brother from New Bedford, doing great elsewhere. He was a fireman, retired. He works for the Bass Pro Shops. He's been doing that almost 20 years,
Yeah.
it seems. So Calvin's doing great out there, and everywhere you go, everybody knows him. Peanut, Peanut, hey,
Hmm.
Peanut, what's up?
Now
So,
you talk about running backs. That I mean, football.
oh yeah.
That was the running
Yes.
back I wanted to be. That was the dude I wanted
He
to
was
be, and
sweet.
I couldn't.
I told him, I said, my favorite play, man, was when you were tailback is 26 power, man. Call
Yeah.
it 26 power. I know you're going to get me a first down.
Uh,
Calvin, man, he's fast.
he was everything that I wanted to be. Other than there was plenty of people. You had Fruit Lopes. You had everybody. There was so many. Football players that I would try to be. But there's one thing about Calvin Pina is he was in my family. And
Yeah.
and that was the dude. And but I was fortunate, man. I get to my front door, look to the left, Kiki Francis right there. I look to the right, I got Jeffrey Martin. I look straight ahead, I got Dwayne Lopes. There was
Damn.
Yeah.
no way that I had it all right there.
I
And
hung out
you
with
know,
Dwayne in Houston quite a bit when Mike Gomes, rest his soul, lived
yep.
down there. I used to be in Houston a lot back in the 80s, man.
Hmm. And
So,
of course I had Derek, D Rose, you everything that you that's come your way. I'm very happy, and Frank
I
Slaughter,
appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm glad to be a part of this. It was
yeah,
good. Long time
this was
coming.
real good.
Russ trying to get me on, and Frank. So I've had a lot of prodding, and finally, it's happened, and I'm,
Good.
I'm
I'm
very
glad it
happy
did.
that it's happened.
He
So
stayed. Derek stayed really quiet about all his movie stuff, which I know he could have just gone on and on, but respectfully, he's no respectfully, he's done a lot of stuff. So you can, if anybody wants to, Derek will tell you where to go see his samples and all the little movie clips he's been in, because he's been in a whole heck of a lot of stuff. Just name one or two of them, because you got a long list. Name
well,
name some favorites, man.
I was a regular on a couple. I just got thrown into these situations sometimes. I mean, I never expected to do some of the stuff that I had done in movies and television shows, and you know, but they pick you out on the set sometimes, and they throw you in a situation. So next thing I know, I'm actually operating a locomotive, and Sandra Bullock is telling me to vamonos, right? I'm like, so I mean, that's one of the things you don't expect. I get to meet Will Smith from the movie Focus, and when he was calling me sir, and I'm like, no, don't call me sir, man. My name's Derek Rose. He goes, Derek Rose. So so you have some really good moments like that. But I've worked on the movie Focus. I've worked on Our Brand is Christ. I've worked on The Butler, and that was an eye opener because I'm sitting there and 15 feet away from me, there's Oprah. And I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, I'm actually cursing to myself, that's so and so Oprah. I'm like, man, that's Oprah over there, right? And you had Forrest Whitaker and Cooper Gooding Jr.'s grabbing me by the shoulders, acting crazy, and Lenny Kravitz. I mean, you had so many different people in that movie. And then I've worked, several movies. Um, Magnificent Seven, Denzel, and I didn't get any laughs out of Denzel. I was doing stand-in for the Indian Red Harvest, But Denzel is a very solemn guy. He don't talk to people. He'll even tell you, "I don't know you." He ain't talking to you. Somebody went to go shake his hand. That's what he said. But I was a regular on Filthy Rich, which was a recent show that got canceled because of COVID and stuff. I mean, it's a TV show like Nancy New Orleans. You know, just back on they seem to like me, so they put me in these situations. So, I mean, there is a long list. USA Network, Queen of the South. I was a regular, did like feature stuff on that as a cop, a bad cop or a gangster, stuff like that. So it's been a lot of stuff that's happened since 2012. I started off and on. I was doing it part time because I was coaching girls basketball. So I couldn't really. I just did it in the summer or something, and when the season was over. But then it became a regular thing for me, and I've been doing it. I'm working on a Disney show now, but can't really talk about that. I'll be doing some stand-in, and there's a couple other things. A movie that's coming out called We Have a Goal. So I just worked on that recently. So there has been a long list, Russell, and
every time I call you, you're on the set.
Yeah,
hey, that's
good stuff, man.
As blessings.
He never really talks to me. Actually, he's got some assistant that gets on the phone and says, Mr. Ramus, Derek can't talk to you right now. He said you called like last week.
How nice is that?
It's been a whole week, right? Don't you get it? You get it, right?
Russell, you're not learning, man. Russell, you gotta learn. Don't call yourself. Call Frank first. Call Frank first and have Frank call Derek, and then you'll get your message delivered.
That's true. It's true, man. It's true.
Russell only wants to hear about Formula One. If you talk Formula One racing with him, he'll talk to you all day.
Man, Charlie's learned a lot from me because Charlie used to tell me when I started talking about racing, he was like, "Oh, well, what do you watch that for? It's just about cars going around and around and around in a circle."
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, when you were working, didn't you do that in the neighborhood? You went around and around and around in the circle, right?
I did.
Didn't you do that? He's learned a lot about this because when I told him, none of you guys probably don't even know about Lewis Hamilton, do you?
I know about the English.
You guys better learn about. I'm not going to even go into it.
Yeah, he's good, but yeah.
Actually, listen, I was a hospitality captain in 1992 when they had the New Orleans, the Grand Prix here, Grand Prix du Mardi Gras here in New Orleans. So I loved racing for a long time. I'm sorry I never went to work with Mr. Cromwell, who lived across the street.
Oh
from me.
man,
Yeah,
Mr. Cromwell, man.
That Seacom. And I was learning mechanics, so I actually could have learned a lot from him and could have helped him. I might have been able to get into racing at that point myself.
Oh, yeah.
I'm running around chasing girls and,
I remember him, and I remember you used to live across the street from him.
Yes.
Cromwell, always working on
his car. He had his car right in the backyard. He had his race car right in the backyard in the South End.
And
right in the South End.
He's the only brother that has won at Seaconk,
Yeah.
So from that I'm aware of,
Yeah,
So,
I had him, and as far as had Mr. Cromwell, we had Dave Baptiste. We had him. He was doing his thing too. So with the drag racing and all that.
Drag racer.
Yeah.
He was from Wareham, isn't he?
No.
Isn't he from Wareham?
Wait.
The drag racer? No.
I'm not sure, but
he's usually in the parade. He's been in the parade a couple times.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But so, and just as Derek, Derek's got a great stories, and he's accomplished much things. And Frank, you did the same. I mean, the people you guys have seen in your lifetime are just amazing. I mean, I gotta look for them on the internet, and so. But please cherish those moments as I know you do, and there's a podcast in every single one of you. So, let's continue to do this. And Frank, I love talking to you. Derek, Yeah, my boy, man, Bay Village kid, and
Yep,
Russell, you
way
know,
back.
every Tuesday, it's you and I, man, and Russell's a good dude, man, and we joke around with him, we dog him sometime, but you know what? If I got to call someone, he's answering the phone, and I really appreciate it. So, all
Right.
right, guys, anything you
Appreciate
want to
you.
talk about? I mean, we've been here a while, so but I just
Yeah,
I appreciate this. Um, and I
kind of
mean, we
touched upon a little bit of everything, I guess. I mean,
mhm,
I was just able to let out some of the things that people never know why you got to where you were or what you did, but it wasn't easy for me to break into radio. It was something that I thought I wanted to do, and once I set my mind to it, that's what I had planned on doing.
mhm.
I had opportunities to possibly work at other places in radio. I almost got a job at WEBB, which was a station in Baltimore that James Brown owned,
Oh
but
wow.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure I wanted to go live in Baltimore. So, things like that. I
Why?
didn't really want to move around.
Yeah, I
That's
lived
that's
there for a whole. I lived there
that's
for a whole year, so I know that station you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, WEBB, the
Good
web.
people in no, it's a good people in Baltimore, man. It's just
I'm sure,
it,
but
tough
not good
time.
living as much though. I don't know.
80,
It's like it's a
82 and 83 were a very tough time in Baltimore, and
yeah.
that it's not everywhere. The depiction of the Wire is definitely a neighborhood I lived in. I got lots of stories, but I'm not gonna tell them. But I was, it was good for a year. That's it.
Right.
all right.
Tough town, you
Um,
know.
all right, Frank. I gotta ask everybody this question before we close this.
Okay.
You know, uh, and the question is for all three of you, and we'll start with Frank, then Russell, then and with Derek. Who would you like to see on the Really Charlie podcast, Frank?
Reason. Hang on.
Oh, it's free. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Frank.
Repeat the question. Go on.
Who would you like to see on the Really Charlie podcast?
Wow. If I could get him, I would love to get Floyd Mayweather. That would be a big one. But he's elusive. I'll take Jeff any day. Jeff is a great guy,
Hmm.
and got some other people in the boxing world, in the UFC world that I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named Marvin Eastman, the Beastman.
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, he was a UFC star way back in the days, and he was like the gatekeeper, man. You see him in magazines for MMA. Marvin be on the front page. He's a good friend of mine.
Well, I'm
He's
gonna
a
do
good
that. Then.
trainer.
I'm gonna reach out. Now, Russell, what about you?
I think the one that you should reach out to is Todd DeReese.
Yep,
Todd DeReese.
we had contact, and so we should have something in the future on the podcast with Todd and get his story out there. All
Yeah.
right, thank you. And Derek.
It's a tough question. I mean, there's a number of people that I would like to see you pick their brain, but I have to say probably more accessible and somebody who is an icon in New Bedford. When they call the school Pope High, you know that you're doing something special. And he was like Al Bundy's 4 touchdowns in one game, and he scored many touchdowns in many games and threw passes and caught passes. Gary Pope, my cousin, he was like
I,
all these guys that you see that are quarterbacks now. He ran, he did everything. I mean, he played defense.
yeah,
You know,
it,
he
it's in his blood.
he's an all around player, and he didn't necessarily want to be a quarterback, but he ended up doing it anyway. He wanted to be a running back more or less, and I think he would have some interesting stories because he went to Monmouth College too and played out there a little bit. He told me, boy, these guys hit hard, man.
Hmm.
But that was another thing that we, as far as get football, I actually did play in a couple of semi-pro games, minor league, and I played for a Fall River team. and I was the backup quarterback, and we went up to Albany, New York. And I called my friend up there, and I said, we're going to go play this team called the Maulers. And he kind of said, oh, okay, yeah. So he didn't tell me that they were like the East Coast champs for years. So I go up there, and they got the old Los Angeles Rams uniforms. And these guys look like professionals. And we were ragtag. I didn't have any hip pads on. I barely weighed 150 pounds. And I got to run a few plays, and I actually made a first down on the option against the Maulers, and I got hit so hard my earring came out of my ear and cut me on the other side of my nose. I lost my diamond earring.
Wow.
That was my experience in, a lower professional level, but at least I got to do it. I got to play against the best team. So, sometimes my scorecard might not look pretty, but I got some stuff in there,
That's it. Your name.
Charlie, wait. One more person. He's in your area. Demetrius Andre. Get Demetrius on. We got to build this guy up.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I was in the gym the other day, and I was talking to David Samples, a world champion, and I talked with Demetrius Andre. He thinks, and this is crazy, and I think so too. He thinks he can beat Canelo.
Of course, I do too. And I like Canelo. I do. Yeah, I really do.
I don't.
I'm telling you, there's something about him. There's something about Boo Boo that will give this guy some problems everywhere in the ring. From against the ropes.
You gotta get him on.
Even jamming him. Boo Boo is definitely there.
Canelo's slow.
Canelo knows it, and that's why he's got the leverage right now. But you know what? He can lose his next fight, and he ain't gonna have that leverage no more. He
can win his next fight. Don't matter.
Yeah.
Boo Boo is in line for a big shot, and that's all. And we got to get behind him because he's a homeboy. He's a Cape Verdean guy, just like they do Manny Pacquiao. The Filipinos get behind us, as Cape Verdeans get behind us, show them we can bring butts in the seat in Las Vegas when Boo Boo fights here. Like I said, I carried the Cape Verdean flag in the ring for him one time. Yeah. And I know this guy, he has the skills. I seen him at Mayweather's gym. Canelo was at the fight capital, though. We closed that up, and he was there doing his little camp. And I think he's slow. I think he's slow. Mayweather exposed him years ago. So get him on your show, and let's build this guy up.
Maybe you can get on a fight card in New Orleans because they had Friday night fights here for a while, but with COVID happening, it kind of stopped. But we are the same. Some interesting fights.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do it. I got the contacts to reach out to Demetrius, so I'm gonna do that, and I'll get him on there. I love you guys.
Thank you. All right, Charlie.
Good
to hear from you. Good to see all you guys.
I'll put this on there. It'll be on Anchor and Spotify, YouTube. Definitely do that.
And all together. We got to say, really, Charlie? Really, Charlie?
It's like, really, Charlie? Really?
Really,
Charlie? Go like that with your mouth. Really, Charlie? Really, Charlie?
Listen.
Hey, Charlie, really? Really, Charlie?
Thank you for the audio.
Charlie.
Thank you for the audio. That's the next commercial. Thank you for the audio.
Right.
And you guys ain't getting no money from it.
Really, Charlie?
Yeah, really. I love it. That's my next commercial.
You know where he got that from? It's because he would tell his wife things, and his wife would tell him, "Really, Charlie?"
Hey, that's right.
He's not telling you. I know where he got that from.
It's a stick. I like it.
Right.
I love it. All right, y'all. I'm gonna definitely be sending you some.
Russell?
I'll be sending you a Really Charlie podcast T-shirt soon.
And I still have hair. People said I was going to.
Look at it, man.
But it's all in the back. It's all back here.
All my friends. I had an afro last month.
The only one that got hair is
That's
Charlie.
another
Charlie's
story.
the only one that got hair. Look at that. Yeah.
I
Russell,
don't know,
that comb over don't help.
I bought
that for $5 at the dollar store.
Yeah.
Charlie got hair. He's got a hair.
Yeah. Hey, Russell ain't telling you. That's the stuff from known as dolls that are behind them, man. She just put
That's
that
right.
stuff on his
That's
head,
right,
man.
man. That's right.
That gorilla glue works for
That's
some
right.
people.
I'm waiting for that Superfly roll.
All right. All right, Charlie. Really, this is your partner here, really, Russell?
Hey. All
All
right,
right,
fellas.
guys.
All
Love
right,
you
man.
guys.
Man, have a great night.
See ya.
All right. Awesome. Good job. All right. Everyone, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. And I ain't gonna keep you. We've been on for a while. Longest podcast I had, but you know it's well worth it. These guys are definitely doing the right thing. They Derek acting, doing many things. Frank's down there in Vegas doing a lot of things in the boxing ring and boxing world, and my man Russell, he's always doing between acting, playwright, on the radio with me on WMB1 radio, definitely doing great things, and I'm glad to spend 2 hours with them. All right, continue to watch and listen to the Really Charlie podcast on Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, and StreamYard. Continue to support me. And when you have a chance, tune into WMB1radio.com and listen to WMB1 Radio on Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Where myself and Russell Ramus are playing some of the oldest music. And our slogan is serving you R&B music on the rocks. Chilled music with chilled hosts where you get to listen to the music you love the most on WMB1 Radio. God bless all. Have a good night.